it's not going to be a very long one. I decided to divide 2014 into two parts. So today we'll go over my Spider-Man fan fiction, and then tomorrow we'll do the Mosaic. The Mosaic was the last significant story I did with the Outcasters and the Devastators, the Circus Freaks, and the Angels of New Day before I worked on my trilogy that I'm showing every day now. So in the last couple of years before the Grim Planet story, I started to kind of just play around with characters I knew. I never really liked to go back to fan fiction, but when I did Clark Kent taking place um, in Washington D.C. in like sort of the real world, I wanted it to be like basically the DC universe would take place in a realistic kind of Christopher Nolan setting, and the Marvel universe would be more like Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Wars kind of thing. So, what you're looking at here is sort of the art concepts for Spider-Man and the Champions of the Future. Can barely see that, but that's what it's called. I wanted some really dramatic subtitle. No, I will not. Thank you. Close this shit. So, um, basically, it's just like what we have here are five different galaxies. Looks like a Star Trek and saying it backwards. This is let me see. This is Spider-Man's galaxy. This might be no. This is the X-Men's galaxy. No, this is X-Men's galaxy. This is the Inhumans galaxy. Uh, I forget which one this one is, but I think this one is the Fantastic Four's galaxy. So there's five different galaxies this whole story takes place. We'll go to the next page. This is the Arachnid Galaxy. This is like Tatooine. So the idea was that because Disney, at the time, Disney owned Star Wars and Marvel. So I wanted to create a story that had Disney themes and Marvel themes and Star Wars themes, but it had Spider-Man and the Marvel characters. So this is Mozingo, as an amazing, but Mozingo. This is like Mickey Mouse kind of thing. So you have two giant satellites hovering over a planet with ice, sort of like Coruscant, a big giant metal city continent. And then you have a nature continent here, rocks like for the thing. Here you have a fire industrial, and then you'll have like a crystal continent on the other side of the planet. This one's called, of course, Fantasia. And this is where the Fantastic Four operate, their base of operations. Here, I do believe this is the Guardians of the Galaxy planet. You have these different little stations here. You'll have a grass, you'll have jungly, twisted thorn branches planet. Here, this is more like the moon, kind of like crater planet, or crater continent. This is the X-Men's planet. So this is a whole planet that its atmosphere is very delicate. So it's in a giant red capsule to protect the planet. I don't think George Lucas made a planet where it's in a giant capsule. George should have done that. Cerebrov, that's what it's called. Here you have Soldier Supreme. This is the Avengers planet from the Furia Chi got from actually Nick Fury. Okay, so you have Soldier Supreme, and this is their planet with red jungly tall brush continents and ice continents. This is the Night Ship. Now, this is a kind of a take on the Marvel Knights, the Punisher, Black Widow, Daredevil, Elektra, and they all reside and live on this sort of knife dagger shaped ship. This big long ship looks like a bunch of guns and stuff. This is the Fantastic Craft. Its exhaust shoots out these big flames when it goes around. You have Hulk hands here for the She-Hulk because she's one of the members. You have Mr. Fantastic swimming like fins that push back, and you have the cat. You have sort of the Enterprise bridge, and like a sort of a take on the Wedge ship from Star Wars. This is Galactus. This is Galactus in different forms. Basically, Akpuk, I think it is, the god. It's the Mayan god for death. So the Mayan god for death looks like a giant caterpillar with a weird head on it. So that's what Galactus is based on. Galactus has the same head, but different animal shapes as it devours a planet. This is Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom has like he's basically a head, a neck, and a body, but his head is deformed. And he wears these robotic arms and legs to compensate for his loss. You see the three faces of Spider-Man. We don't see Peter Parker's face until the very end of the story. You have a baggy head. This was based on the Fantastic Four. When in Amazing Spider-Man, the traditional Peter Parker, the 616 Peter Parker, he went from a red and blue costume to a black costume. And he was trying to get rid of the black costume, but it didn't work. But he had to wear a paper bag. This is Spidey, and this is Cosmic Spidey. Now, this Spider-Man is 8 years old. So he's a child. And his Aunt May is in her like 19, and I think Uncle Ben is in his 20s. I'm just showing you whatever I can here. Let me see what else we got here. What is this one? I know we have two written forms. Spider-Man, the Champions of the Future. Once upon a time in a universe near and dear to us. So it's sort of like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. This is, literally taking Star Wars and making Star Wars. So the idea is that Reed Richards is on the run from Doctor Doom's henchmen in ships. And Reed Richards is basically Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he goes to Peter Parker, the child Spider-Man, and he gives him like a way to get him power. So Reed Richards gives Peter Parker a spider, an experimental spider, and then he gets bit, and then he becomes Spider-Man, or Spider-Boy, if you want to call it that. And on this planet, the planet of Mozingo, there are lizard people, there are electric eel people, there are sand creatures. It's based on every villain in Spider-Man's life. In this universe, they are parts of the planet. They're natural parts of the planet. Uncle Ben dies, killed by his own rhino. The rhino in this universe is a rhino cult. A bunch of like heavy wrestlers and stunt performers and big grunts, a big chain gang of big muscular guys. And they kill, Uncle Ben betrays them. His Uncle Ben betrays them, and so they kill him. But, his responsibility was to his aunt, to protect his aunt. I'm just showing you whatever I can here. Venom Reapers. Brock is a Venom Reaper, sort of a soothsayer, a missionary, a religious figure. The backstory for this is that Peter Parker's parents were the Black Cat and the original Spider-Man. The original Spider-Man had no powers, but was an assassin, kind of like Deadpool. But he was very good at what he did. And the Spider-Men were modeled after the original Spider-Man. They were like apostles. So they go to different planets and find different pieces of gold icons to give Spider-Man the cosmic powers. And you can see a little bit of Galactus there. But I might be able to show you this story like I'm showing Grim Planet. He meets Jean Grey, who's the queen of her planet, Cerebro. She loses a lot of her people. Galactus basically devours planets and is an ancient evil god from nowhere. But what Peter's mission is from Reed Richards, who dies, is that he's to find these gold elements. And when he puts all the gold elements together, he becomes this powerful cosmic Spider-Man. But that is his forever fate. He can never grow old. And he has all these powers. And this is how Galactus speaks. Different fonts, different dialect. So you know who's talking. Ooh. Let me see what that is. Hold on. Oh, I can't even see what that is. I'm gonna have to go through this again and see if I wrote something. I probably wrote something in white for some reason. There is Galactus again. Ah, I remember now. I wrote this in white, but I changed the font a bit. Cosmic Spider-Man speaks in a white font, but this is not the final draft. Cosmic Spider-Man defeats Galactus from devouring Mozingo. He talks to Aunt May, because now Cosmic Spider-Man at that point has the ability to bring back Uncle Ben. But Aunt May says no, don't don't disturb the balance of life and death. It's terrible that Uncle Ben is dead, but if he's meant to go, he's meant to go. But Cosmic Spider-Man does bring back Reed Richards, but Reed Richards is in hiding, and that's the end of the story. Um, but I fixed it up, I think, a bit more. This is my plot map. This is the plot layout. You can see the different characters. This is how I always write outlines out before I do anything more, before I do anything. And between this one and Clark Kent and the Secret Justice, I did write another Clark Kent story, um, but it's not very long, and I didn't finish it. And we'll end with this. And what you are seeing, let's see if I can show it to you better. This is young Spider-Man at age 8 years old. You can see Spider-Man here, and then you can see here is Aunt May. Aunt May is 19 years old. She's wearing on her, you can see the rhino helmet. This is her uncle, her husband, Ben. And you can see here the Human Torch, who's a young man, the Invisible Girl, She-Hulk, and the Thing. And in the background is Galactus. And it's basically, this is his journey. He's about to go off to explore other planets. He's going on that Luke Skywalker, A New Hope journey to find the relics of this great, powerful weapon to stop Galactus. I wanted it to feel organic. I wanted the story to feel like, you cared about these characters. You cared about who they were. The Fantastic Four is like the Jedi in the prequels. The Jedi are the peace and justice in the galaxy. And the Fantastic Four, since they were like the first characters in the Silver Age of Marvel Comics, they were the first characters. Then you had XMen Planet and Guardians of the Galaxy. Since Guardians of the Galaxy is very popular right now, I put them in there. And you have a planet just for Spider-Man. And you have another planet for the Avengers. So that was the idea. And then you had 4 different groups of characters. One had cosmic powers. One has mutant powers. One has powers based on a scientific accident like Spider-Man, the X-Men. And then one that has no powers. And Reed Richards was able to categorize the Marvel superheroes based on different types of powers. So it was a little bit of Star Wars, a little bit of Marvel and Disney, and to throw those in there. I was going to put the Muppets in there, but I didn't have enough time. So yeah, what I might do, I might show you the whole story, but it's basically it's the whole galaxy through the eyes of a child. And actually, it's a lot like The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, where Link is about 8 years old, or 9 years old, or 10, and he has to go on this journey on a ship to explore the rest of New Hyrule, which is a bunch of islands on an ocean. And he goes and encounters and finds his way. But it's so sad, because Aunt May loves Peter. She is a mystic. She's basically the new Madam Web. And she's a mystic. She's a religious mystic for the planet. But she's sad to see her son. But she's a tough cookie, right? She's a tough person. And that's who she is. So I'm going to end it here. Tomorrow I will go over the mosaic. Friday I will cover the 2015 stuff, some of my 3D plastic printing toys, and a comic I did in 2015. And then we'll go over the 2016, 2017, 2018, which is the conclusion of this whole thing. So be kind, be cruel, be you, and, stay dry under hot, rainy weather. Adios. Bye.